What's up, family? So, here's the deal. I'm going to do something today that I have never tasted or prepared. It's a first, but I want to do it with you. And at the end, if you never see this video, that means I screwed it up. Let's cook. All right, family, let's go ahead and get into these ribs. So just a disclaimer, I have never, ever fried ribs before. Never. So this is going to be my first attempt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to brine them first just because I don't know how they're going to turn out. And I'd rather go ahead and just start breaking that meat down before I put them in some hot oil. So right here, I have some St. Louis style spare ribs. And then over here, I have some baby backs. They both come from BJ's. That's where I usually get all of my ribs from. So what I usually do with chicken and with pork, chicken when I'm grilling it, not when I'm frying it. But what I usually do with chicken and pork is I put it in a brine before I put it on the grill. And with the pork that I usually do, like a stuffed pork loin or something like that, I'll go ahead and put that in a brine as well to kind of break it down, keep it tender and juicy throughout. So I'm going to do the same thing with these. I'm going to put these in a brine. So I'm going to get these out of here and take the membranes off, cut them down into pieces, and then we'll be back with that. But before we go, we have for the brine, it's simple. This is what I always brine in. I get this product, which is 100% apple cider. This is the brand I get. I'm pretty sure you can find other brands wherever you live. I don't get the spiced one unless I have to. If I have to get the spiced one, I will. But this is the one I usually look for. This is 1.5 cups of granulated sugar. And then I have 1/4 cup of salt. And usually with this much sugar and salt, I usually use about 12 cups of the apple cider. Okay, so let me go ahead and get these ribs finished up for you so we can start that process. All right, so for those of you that don't know what the membrane is, I know most of you do, but so in the back on the bony side of the rib, there's this membrane. It's not silver skin. Don't let nobody tell you it's silver skin. It's called a membrane. Silver skin is totally different. So you pull this off the back. Now, I've eaten when I first started cooking ribs. I used to eat it with this on here. I really never had a problem with it, but I do understand that it allows for the seasoning to get in there a little bit better, and then you don't have that little tight pull when you're eating your ribs. If you give me a preference, I'd be like, I don't care. I don't care if you leave it on or not. It doesn't bother me. My father never took this stuff off when I was a kid, and he used to cook ribs. So it's something that just doesn't bother me. But I understand why people do it. So I'm just showing you this so you know exactly what to look for when I said take the membrane off. Okay. And sometimes it comes out very easy. Sometimes you have to play with it and get a knife and get up under it. So it is a process. So just wanted you to know that. All right. So I just figured I'd come back and show you this as well. So this is supposed to be St. Louis style, which means this flap is not even supposed to be here. So I'm going to just cut this off because this flap is not supposed to be on there. This is St. Louis style. This is no flap over it. All of the stuff is trimmed off of it. So I'm just going to trim a little bit of this fat off of it. And then we'll be back. I know I keep telling you I'll be back when I'm done with it, but just kind of want to show you folks some stuff. Now, I'll say this every time I'm doing something like this. I'm not some pit master. I didn't get into cooking to know how to cook barbecue. Okay. barbecuing and cooking are two different things, just like cooking and baking are two different things. And I don't know how to bake, and I'm not some pit master when it comes to barbecue. I just know a little something, and it's enough for me to enjoy my own barbecue. Okay. So we will actually be back once I'm done, folks. So I got everything all mixed up, and what the first thing you want to do is make sure that your apple cider is at room temperature, because you want the sugar and the salt to go ahead and dissolve in that before you put your ribs off in there. So I had 4 slabs of ribs. I had 2 spare ribs, 2 baby backs. I only used one of the baby backs. I put the rest of it up. I do have some scraps that I cut off that I'm going to probably cook later on for myself to snack on. And now, again, I've never eaten fried ribs. I've never cooked fried ribs. I usually don't experiment on camera, but I do think that this is real simple. I do have, I have the ability to think up recipes in my head and go over recipes in my head. And if I'm stuck at something, then I'll try it out. But usually if I can run through a recipe in my head, I can just do it right then. And then if there's some small things that I can improve on, I will. So that's probably what's going to happen here. Now, I did cut a lot of fat off that I wouldn't cut off if I was barbecuing. I don't know how that element is going to play out, with the fat and being in the oil for 20 minutes. I don't know how that's going to play out. So I got a little nervous and I cut a lot of fat off of these ribs. And so it's because it's different. I don't know, some of that fat, if I was grilling it, I would have left it on there and it would have cooked into it, adding an abundance of flavor. But I'm not for sure on this. We're learning this together and we'll get through this together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some saran wrap on top, and then I'm going to put it in my refrigerator in the garage for 2 days. And in 2 days, we'll come back to fry these bad boys up. And we're going to get through this together, family. So we'll see you in 2 days. All right, welcome back, family. This is 48 hours later. I have taken the ribs out of the apple cider sugar salt brine. I have rinsed them off and I have allowed them to drip dry in the strainer so we don't have too much water on them. And now they're sitting in the pan. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and season the ribs. We're going to start with our onion powder and our black pepper, our mix. And if you are new to the channel, this mix is a combination of equal parts Morton seasonal and accent salt. So it's 50 parts seasonal and accent, and then we have our garlic. Now, both the garlic and the onion is granulated, okay? So we're gonna just go ahead and start seasoning. Now, usually when I season my meats, I start with my mixture of seasonal and accent. That is the first thing that I put on them, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and season all of them with this. All right, and we'll go ahead with the garlic powder. So next is the onion powder, and this is usually how I season my meats. Now, I don't use as much onion powder as I do the garlic, and the last one that I use is always the black pepper. So just to go over it, I use my seasoning, I use my garlic, and then I use the onion powder, and last but not least, I use the black pepper. I can't tell you how to season your meat. I don't know what your tastes are, but it's all about the flip of the wrist. All right, folks, so this is my technique on seasoning when I'm frying. Now, I'm not gonna turn it over to do it on the other side because the other side is basically a bone and I don't need that side seasoning. So we'll move on to the next step, which is dredging it in the egg wash. Okay. All right, family. So here's the egg wash. So I have a dozen of eggs in here only because I have a lot of things to fry. So here is the tip, the secret to a good egg wash. Pour water in it, not milk, water. Why pour water instead of milk? Well, if you put milk in it, you're going to have a thicker consistency on the meat than you want, and it really is just too much to bear. So I put water in it to thin it out. All I want this egg wash for is to assure that the flour mixture is going to adhere to the meat and it's not going to come out or off in the grease. The next step, of course, is I'm going to take all of this seasoned meat and I'm going to put it in the egg wash. And you're going to say to yourself, but why would you season it and then put it in the egg wash? My answer to that is, I don't know. It just works. That's over years I've tried different things. This is what works. That's all I can tell you. It works for me. All right, family. So once again, I really can't walk you through on how to season your flour. This is something that you're going to have to get down on your own. But I will give you a base. So when I season my flour, this is all-purpose flour, great value brand. I don't really think it makes a difference what type of brand you get. But what I do is I like to add cornstarch to my flour. Now, what does cornstarch do? It gives it a more crunchier and airier consistency to the product. Now, I just eyeball it, and I'm going to say that I'm going to put about 1/4 of a cup in here. And again, that all depends on you, how much flour you're using, how airy and how crispy you want it. But to this flour, I'm going to add some smoked paprika. And again, just going to eyeball it. And if you ask me, I would say that's probably a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half. I'll put some pepper in it as well. Again, about a tablespoon, tablespoon and a half. And this is probably about 6 cups of flour to this. And then I'm going to add some herbs to it. And I'm going to do oregano, basil, and thyme. And the oregano, probably put about 2 teaspoons. The basil, just a little bit more. Let's say we do, and then the basil, I probably do a little bit more. Let's say we'll do about 3 teaspoons. And then the thyme, not gonna put too much thyme in. Let's just go with about a teaspoon of that. And then I'm gonna add some cayenne pepper. Now, I don't want this spicy. I just want the cayenne to flavor it. So probably 2 teaspoons of that in there, or maybe a teaspoon and a half. And then I'm going to use some coarse kosher salt in this as well. And I'll put this in my hand. And this is about how much I'm going to use. And that's going to be about a teaspoon or a teaspoon and a half. So once that's done, go ahead and stir it up. And again, it depends on how much flour you are using. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that everything is incorporated in your flour. You don't want pockets that are not mixed in. And this is why I use a see-through bowl, because on this I can lift it up and I can look around. Now, I'll say this: as a cook, you have to have taste, but also you have to have sight. I'm not okay with the look of this, so I'll go back in and add a little bit more of the paprika. And again, folks, you know, when it comes to cooking, you have to cook off taste, you have to cook off sight, you have to cook off smell. So I added a little bit more of the cayenne pepper as well. And then I'll just give that another stir, because there's a certain look I want as well. Okay, so I think that's enough. And I'll mix that up. I'll look at the bottom again, make sure that there are no pockets of seasoning just stuck off in the corner somewhere. Okay. And always be careful when you're putting anything in hot oil. All right, family, so we have a pretty good consistency here. Now, my rule of thumb when it comes to frying anything is when the noise gets quiet, that means the meat is done. That's my rule of thumb. So it's not as loud as it was when it first went in. But for whatever reason, these ribs don't float. I don't know if it's because it's ribs, and I don't know, but it's not floating. So we'll let it sit a little bit longer. Again, I'm a novice at this. I've never fried ribs before. So I don't know what I'm looking at or what I'm looking for. All right, so you know what? I'm gonna make an executive decision. I'm gonna get these bad boys on out of here and let them start draining off. And we'll see how they turn out once they cool off. All right, family, as I promised, we are here live for the taste test on these fried ribs. I'm gonna go in first with the spare ribs, and I'll let you know what I think. Not too bad. So I'll go in one of these baby backs. See what this is all about. A little better. I think I like the baby backs more than the spare ribs. Yeah. Nice flavor. So, all right. So here's my analysis. Got some meat stuck in my teeth. One, I probably would only let them soak for 24 hours. Maybe even half a day. For whatever reason, on these ribs, which I've never soaked ribs in the apple cider before, it really comes through strong. It's not bad, but it comes through strong. Secondly, the baby backs are better than the spare ribs. Would I do this again? No. No. This is something that I've never had, and I wanted to try, and so I did. I did a great job cooking them. I think they came out wonderful. Nice crunch on the outside of it. Great flavor, great seasoning. So I did a great job on it. If I didn't, I would let you know. But I don't know what the big deal is. Give me some ribs and a grill. And listen, I don't like smoked ribs. That's not my thing either. I want ribs on a grill, offset, cooked, and seasoned very well. I don't even need any sauce. That's how I like my ribs. So, but we gave it a try, and I'm gonna be honest with you on this channel, family. I'm gonna let you know exactly what I think about everything that I cook. So, thank you all for joining me, and let me know what you think about fried ribs. Let me know if you have a secret recipe or if there's any kind of tips or pointers that you want to give me. I don't think it'll make a difference. I just don't like fried ribs. Just my thing. But thank you for watching. As always, folks, peace. Thank you so much for watching this video. And don't forget, hit the like button. And if you want to be a part of the Yes Chef family, consider hitting the subscribe button. And don't forget, click the notification bell, and that way you'll stay up to date on all of our latest videos. Also consider becoming a member of my Patreon for up close and behind the scene content. And be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. Thank you.